Perry, do you know about the new healthcare reform legislation and the availability of health insurance?
Well, I heard there's a new law in effect soon, but I have no idea on the details of the law.
Okay, and where do you think that you might go for information that could help you? Who would you ask?
Well, I will assume like health insurance providers like Blue Cross Blue Shield or Tufts Health Plan or places like that, or United Health.
Okay, and the new law goes into effect on January 1st, and there's a penalty if you don't subscribe. Do you know anything about that?
I heard of the penalty, and I'm sure that we have to somehow figure out a way to provide the health insurance.
Okay. As a small business owner, do you have any comments relative to this that might help?
Quite insecure of the whole thing for the fact that it was quite expensive before. We as a store provided health insurance for 16 years, and it's been only 1 year or 2 years right now that we don't to the employees. So I'm kind of wondering and insecure of the cost of the program or the packages that they may be able to be available there.
Are you worried?
Somehow.
Okay. Thanks, Perry.
You're welcome.
We're here talking to Greg, and Greg is a small business owner. He's in the construction field, hustles every day, doing all kinds of jobs, from concrete to renovations to all sorts of construction-related work. And I have a couple of questions for Greg today. The first is, Greg, are you familiar with the new healthcare reform law, Obamacare, if you will, and the availability of insurance options for yourself?
Okay. I heard about the Obamacare, but I have no knowledge of what it's all about.
Okay. And that being the case, where do you think that you might go to get information about it? Like, who might you ask, or where do you think you'd go to get that information that you need?
I'm sure there's numerous of places I could go. In fact, I'm thinking that they're going to come for me, being that I have a small business, and I do want my guys to have health care because it's very important. Yep. So, I mean, I could go online, I could ask around other companies who do have healthcare now, or who are looking into the Obamacare now, currently. So,
what is your impression? What do you think that this Obamacare means for you?
I just think I guess it would be like a sense of security as far as having employees with benefits and things like that. So that's what I look at it as. I really don't know too much about it.
Yep.
But again, I feel as though if a person is working, that they do deserve some type of health care package.
Are you concerned about cost at all?
Not so much as my employees. You know, I mean, if it costs that much, then that means I, won't have as much employees until I get to wherever I need to get to, growing capital, because my company is all about growing capital as well. At the same time, it's very important for each individual or somebody that's working for you to have some type of benefits.
So again, right now you're not familiar with it. You just haven't seen it or heard about it?
I heard about it, but I just have no clue about what it is.
Okay. And just to clarify, after this interview, you're going to think about it. Where will you go to ask about it?
Well, I could ask you. I could ask again. I could get online. Being that we live in an information age, it's not that hard. I mean, you could go online. I'm not a shy person. I could ask around.
Have any of your friends discussed this with you? Have you been in any situations where the issue or the topic of healthcare has come up?
I have. A lot of my friends don't even really know, again, what this Obamacare is about. It's just in the air.
Now, you're in the, we'll call it the inner city community quite a bit in your work as a street worker as well. What do you think, you come across so many kids and so many young adults, and some that do have jobs, but struggling to make ends meet.
Right.
How do you think this might affect it and impact that?
I think, but being as a street worker, we deal a lot with victims being shot, stabbed. We go to the hospital a lot, and most of these people, they don't have health insurance, no nothing at all. And the beautiful thing about the institute is that we have victim services, and if they do qualify for victim services, then we can assist them with that.
Yeah.
However, just in the inner city, it seems like there's really no concern, or I would say that there's really no concern of health care or benefits or things like that.
Yeah.
It's like people don't look forward to it. They're thinking about something else.
So it might be a good idea for victim services to get their heads wrapped around this new healthcare reform.
Yeah, eventually they're gonna have to, because it is gonna affect the way that they serve people.
Yeah.
So
Great. Thank you so much, Greg.
no problem. Thank you.
All right, Mindy, this is really easy. So are you aware of the federal health care legislation that's been enacted, Obamacare, if you will? And are you aware of it?
I am aware of it.
Okay. And what do you know about it?
I do not know a lot about it other than how it affects my business personally, which from what we do know about it means that we fall under size-wise and employee-wise to qualify for it, so we really don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Are you aware of the available options that might become available to you?
Not at all.
Okay. So, do you have any opinions about how you believe this legislation will impact either yourself or your employees?
Yes, well, I know for certain that from the investigation that we have done on this, we're quite happy to be under the threshold because we would not be able to afford to carry health insurance in the way that it is being dictated from the plan. So I do know, and I didn't do all the research on it. I have some of my people who have done research on it, but all of our employees are insured outside of our company.
Now, have you seen information on this exchange?
I have not.
Okay. So if you needed or were inclined to want to find out more about this, who would you go to? Who would you ask?
I'm not sure if a who is exactly what I would do. I would certainly go to the internet first and probably try to look for a website that I know is a viable one on the subject. I certainly talk to our advisors, our accountants, our insurance people who carry insurance on our regular company stuff, but I don't think that they even know. I actually know they don't know. So it's not really, there really isn't anyone that we've found that you can tap into who knows anything about it, because, go ahead.
So you feel that they're in the dark too?
I know that they are. It's not, because we did, when we were first doing the investigating, and now thinking about it in retrospect, they were certainly people that we tapped into, and everyone was sort of waiting, and they are still waiting to really understand the scenario.
Yeah. And you know this takes effect January 1.
I do know that. And again, I think because we fall under the radar as far as numbers go, that we are less concerned about it. However, in talking in the small business community, I can tell you that there are plenty of people strategically planning on how to avoid as much as they possibly can about to get around the system, because it is so costly. And so how those costs come into play, I don't exactly know, but I do know that that it is certainly the buzz among small business owners, because we have been talking.
I'm here with Sal Montero. He is what could be called one of the principal community leaders here in the south end of Providence. And he is really a person who is a resource in this community as well. Sal, first a couple of questions. The first is, are you aware of the new federal health legislation that gets enacted that really starts January 1st of 2014?
I just know about it through Obamacare and what I've seen on TV. As far as it hitting our community and steps that we need to take to get involved in it, No, I'm not aware of it.
Okay, so is it safe to say that you are or aren't aware of the various insurance options that will be offered to you?
Right, I am not aware of that.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about the issue of healthcare in this community? And, are people asking questions? Are they concerned?
Well, part of the Institute's message is gathering information. It's one of the steps that we use when dealing with violence and crime. But we also can use that step. We need to use that step in other areas such as insurance. We work with a population of lower to middle class individuals in the community. A lot of information doesn't get passed along in this community. People are not aware of their options that they have to get insurance. So part of our job is not only to pass along that information, but make sure that we have the correct information ourselves. We need the information ourselves so that we can pass it.
How would you go about getting that information? Where would you turn?
Well, we have partners in law and policymakers, internet, TV, media, you for just enlightening me right now on this. But we have ways that we can get this information, and it's just our job to pass along that information.
Has there been discussion? Have there been people coming up to you and asking you questions about this?
No, not recently. No, a lot of the stuff that we deal with has to do with violence and non-insurance policies. Those things probably come along when they're here looking for jobs, and we have to let them know all the stuff that they have to do to get a job. When it comes to insurance, do they have insurance? When we do our summer jobs here, that's the time.
Okay. Anything you want to add, Sal?
That information is very important for this community. I don't know how come they don't get that information. I don't know what the barriers are, but it's something that we definitely need to work on. It's something that we definitely need to inform our community about because it's very important. People need health insurance. People shouldn't die because they can't afford to see a doctor.
How, in your opinion, how might you think is the best way for that information to be communicated to this community?
The politicians and the people that make these laws and rules and regulations come to this community. Open forums, community meetings, roundtable discussions. Make a presence, come door to door. When these elected officials are trying to get votes, they're coming through the community, they're shaking hands, hugging babies. When they enact certain type of laws like that, and something that's very important like that as far as insurance, they need to show up for that too.
Thank you, Sal.